The Chiefs defense gets it done in the second half, holding Justin Herbert to 7 of 16 for only 100 yards and 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns in the first half. McCole Hartman ices it, 50-yard return. Big third down catch. Blouses. It's done. It's the KCSN Live post-game show from the Kingdom Bar and Grill in Overland Park.
Drew Tranquil, revenge game, let's party.
Going on? I'm BJ Kissel. That is Kent Swanson. It is the KCSN Live post-game show, again, from the Kingdom Bar and Grill out here in Overland Park. We've been watching the game out here. It is a great time. If you're a Chiefs fan and you're looking for a place to come watch the game, whether it's a home game, whether it's a road game, if you just want good vibes, good food, good people, this is the place to be, Kent.
It's fun to be back on the stage here, too.
Yeah, it's like old school.
I know. So old school for all 3 years of KCSN. But no, it's been fun to be back out here on the stage, watching all these Chiefs fans celebrating after a massive 2-score win against the Los Angeles Chargers to all but, clinch the AFC West again before Halloween.
As Carter would say, it's a very satisfying victory. That was just very satisfying in so many different ways. Again, we saw McCole Hardman, who I mentioned off the top. He steps up and makes plays late in the game after kind of a rocky, not the start that he was looking for necessarily, but there's a lot to break down with this game. It's going to be a fun one to get into. Kent and I are going to break down some of the headlines, some of the things that stood out to us, and obviously Craig Stout and Maddie Lane are going to join us here in a little bit. Outside of, let's start, where do you want to go with things? Because there's so many different places we could go with this.
Well, we could start with the first half.
All right.
I mean, an unbelievable explosive performance from the offense.
Yep.
I mean, they went absolutely bananas, and I think, we've all, wanted to see this team kind of hit their stride, kind of, show some, some bright moments to give you some optimism for the outlook of the offensive side of the ball for the longevity of this season, and they absolutely did. I mean, the Chargers did choose to not cover Travis Kelce on National Tight Ends Day, so there was a little bit of that. That was a choice. But I think you saw some of the ancillary pieces around Travis Kelce get involved too, and Mahomes was doing a great job distributing the football, kind of getting everybody involved, including Blake Bell. We can talk about that in a little bit, but I mean, just they lit things on fire in the first half, and it was fun to see Mahomes just absolutely dominant and watch this team kind of flex the ceiling, which is something we kind of talked about a lot last year. As we know is going to be a slow build maybe, but flexing the ceiling of an elite offense. They absolutely did that in the first half in a big divisional game where the Chargers were on their heels. They needed this win badly.
Yeah. This was to end the Chargers. I shouldn't say this. To conceively end the Chargers season before Halloween.
I'll say it.
Like, that's pretty impressive, even for a Chargers team. It's not the injuries this year.
Yeah.
I said coming into this game that we talk about the Chargers being 2-3 coming in. Those 3 losses by a combined 8 points.
Yeah.
They had been in games. It's kind of the same story with the Chargers outside of some of the key injuries, although we know Mike Williams got banged up earlier. But you mentioned the first half offense. I mean, nearly 300 yards passing from Patrick Mahomes, and then Travis Kelce. I think I saw a stat during the broadcast from CBS that it was the most yards he had ever had in a half in his career. Finished the first half with 9 receptions, 143 yards and a touchdown. We were joking during the game that I feel like Travis Kelce has been running option routes or just freelancing all season, and when they show that overhead view of him running down, you can see him reading the leverage of the ways that the linebackers or the safeties that are covering him are kind of going to the area that he appears to be going. He just breaks it off and says, you know what, I'm just going to turn back the other way and sit, and that's all the space that Mahomes needs to complete a pass. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
I think the thing I always appreciate about it too is that takes 2, and it's Mahomes reading the same thing that he is. Both of them on the same page, just understanding space and structure. They're always they have such good chemistry because Travis Kelce freelances, and Mahomes understands where to freelance, where the freelance is going to go. but it's because it's still within the construct of the play. Travis Kelce's not running into other receivers ever. It's not that he's getting in the way of the structure of the play. He just knows where he has the leeway, and Mahomes knows where he has the leeway too. And I mean, the Chiefs, getting to see them kind of do that, getting to see that chemistry, and Travis Kelce looks just so much better, in the last 4 weeks. The demise of Travis Kelce has been greatly overstated. Yes, he's 34, but I don't know about you. I think he's 22 right now. Tucker is fuming.
I wish there was a producer cam right now so everybody could see Tucker's face with all the Taylor Swift.
That's
Tucker's going to jump
so
in here.
good.
You want to say something?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here. I like Taylor Swift, and I'm the biggest Taylor Swift fan in KCSN. I'll say it right now.
That's a fact.
But Kent's got to quit. Kent's got to quit making jokes. He has to.
I will not.
All right, let's move on and talk about the Chiefs defense here for a little bit because they deserve some love, especially with their performance in the second half. I mentioned it off the top of the show to slow down. And the Chargers offense, to give them some credit, in the first half, they were going blow for blow. They were right there. But in the second half, both teams made adjustments. They decided to bracket Travis Kelce, which is a solid move on their part. But Justin Herbert finishes 7 of 16 for just 100 yards with 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and some key sacks from the Chiefs defense. They got pressure and they brought him down when they absolutely needed to get it done.
I think they pitched a shutout in the second half too, if I remember correctly.
You do remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean they were outstanding, and yeah, I think they did a really good job. I think they did a lot better job on first and second down, and maybe kind of kept the Chargers from getting too much into some of their tempo looks too much. I think that's something the Chargers have always been good, is kind of mixing and matching with some tempo. And they got them early in the game and broke some tendencies and took some deep shots with some of their tempo stuff. And the Chiefs just settled in, and they didn't deviate too far away from what has gotten them there to this point. And the pass rush was, it was when they were getting home, it was impactful. I think they, I don't know if they were getting consistent pressure across the board, and Herbert, but they were making it count when they got to the quarterback, and especially in the second half. That mixed with some really big pass deflections and some key downs. Those were key factors in the defense, just really slowing things down for the Chargers and putting the ball on the ground, just forcing some incompletions to keep them out of that tempo.
Yeah, and let us know in the comment section defensively who was your MVP of the game. It's going to be really interesting when we get to the toast game at the end of this with our friends from Ben Holiday Distillery and the Ben Holiday Bourbon. But interested to see where everybody's kind of thoughts are regarding the MVP of this game, because it could go a lot of different ways. A lot of people say McColl because of what he did at the end of the game. Those are 2 huge plays after a rough start. I mean, we saw incomplete pass and then the pass deep that led to the interception, which I know we'll get into in the second half of the show. But for me, the linebackers saw Drew Tranquill poetically make a play at the end. Willie Gay stepped up and made some huge plays, some huge deflections. But Charles Omenihu, what a great debut for him in a Chiefs uniform. Into the first half, had the huge sack to force the 3rd and 18 on a drive in which the Chargers were moving, and at half that the Chargers had been moving the ball before the Chiefs got to go in. And not to make a big thing about halftime adjustments, like, it happens. We know that it does. We talk to people. They have time to go to the bathroom. They have time to maybe talk with their guys for a few minutes, and then they're back out on the field. And then the pass deflection at the end that led to the interception, which is one of the biggest plays of the game.
Yeah, I think there's another. I think I'm missing another play too. Like I think he showed up again at another point. I can't remember. I think it was a pressure, or just getting in Herbert's face again. But
he was at his feet on one of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Welcome, Charles Omenihu. And Chris Jones kind of had a quiet game today, and the Chiefs still had someone step up in a big way and kind of disrupt that game and make a couple big plays on that defensive line, and it's the guy that they spent the most money on, I believe, on the defensive side of the ball for the entirety of free agency this year, when Charles Omenihu. And I mean, that was an outstanding debut for him. I'm kind of curious to see the snap counts for him as well when it's all said and done. It feels like he got some run late too, just because when they need him the most. But yeah, I mean, he definitely. I think Chiefs fans are kind of seeing why a lot of people that kind of do the film stuff, like we've been talking about on KCSN, how excited we are about Charles Omenihu's return. That's why. That kind of impact.
Yeah, and I want to shout out the Chiefs' offensive line, too. For as much as they were throwing the ball, the Patrick Mahomes looked really comfortable back there. They didn't run the ball all that great, and we can get into that if you really want to start picking things apart. But in general, Patrick Mahomes looked comfortable. Travis Kelce was finding the open way. Patrick Mahomes finished this game 32 of 42 for 424 yards and 4 touchdowns. Chiefs' offense averaged 7.5 yards per play.
Yeah.
That is crazy for a team, and we talked about this. I know we talked about 5 things to watch coming in, that this was a must-win for the Chargers. We laugh about it because we're talking about must-wins for a team that was projected by a lot of people to win the division. I know we joke about it, but it's not because there's a lack of talent. There's a ton of talent on that side of the football and on the other sideline for the Los Angeles Chargers. And for them to come in here and give their absolute best performance, and Patrick Mahomes absolutely picks them apart and looks comfortable back there, that's a shout-out to the Chiefs' offensive line because they got it done, giving him time and making him comfortable back there to be able to find these guys all over the field.
And definitely felt like a kitchen sink game for them, too. You know, I think you saw what Tony Romo was talking about, them just really being aggressive downhill and kind of allowing some stuff if they really wanted to try to take some stuff over the top. But, you know, it felt like the Chargers were being aggressive to try to, you know, going for broke a little bit. And some of their tendencies early in the first half, just taking some shots down the field, too. I mean, it's not that, yes, the Chargers take some shots down the field, but out of tempo, like, yeah, that's not normal. Like, those were some tendency breakers there, too. Yeah. So, yeah, it was, you know, the Chargers did a lot and tried to, you know, they tried. They gave their best shot. And the Chiefs responded beautifully and won by 2 scores. And I think the funny thing is, you know, you got to give the Chargers some credit for some of their second half adjustments. If you look at the score sheet for Mahomes, 32 of 42, 424 yards, 4 touchdowns and an interception. You just look at it on its face, and you're like, the Chargers didn't do anything. It's just that he was that good in the first half. Yeah. Only threw for 100 yards in the second half. Chargers did some good things, and thank God for the special teams big play, because that is kind of what busted this thing open for the Chiefs when it was all said and done.
Yeah, that's why I said that McColl's play iced the game. It started becoming a 3 and out. It was a defensive battle in the second half until McColl stepped up. And you were just looking, it didn't feel as close as it was because of how well the Chiefs defense was playing. But for them to step up on the special teams and get it to where it can be a 2 possession. And then they got the touchdown, which was a bonus. But the whole time it's like, just kick a field goal. That's why I looked at you and I was like, just run the ball. There's like 6 minutes left. I'm like, run the ball 3 or 4 times. There's 4 minutes left. Kick the field goal. You have a 2 possession lead. And the way your defense is playing, that's icing it. Ended up getting the touchdown anyway. But hell of a performance from the Chiefs offense. And also shout out Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Made some plays today and stepped up in a way. I think they said during the broadcast, his first touchdown since the AFC Championship game last year. That's crazy considering the opportunity that he had coming into the season. But he finished 3 catches for 84 yards. Saw Kadarius Toney right off the bat. I know I looked at you and I was like, it's intermediate route, a wide receiver route on like maybe a little skinny post across the middle to deliver the ball to him on a play in the first half. Those are the kinds of steps and checkpoints and those things that you want to see from the Chiefs passing offense that hasn't been what we've expected it to be so far this season. I've said consistently, I didn't think all said in 1 week it was just going to click and everything was working, but it clicked today, and a lot of it had to do with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. But you have another take before we throw it a little break here and bring our friends on?
Yeah, real quick. You know, this is going to be something I think you're going to have to just get used to with this Chiefs offense is, you know, you see guys like Marquez Valdes-Scantling stepping up this week. He might not be that guy for 2 more weeks. It's going to probably be there's a group of these guys. It's going to be kind of a rotation. 1 week McColl's going to probably get a big play or 2 or 3 big plays, and 1 week it'll be Kadarius Toney with 7 catches and 75 yards. I think we're starting to see 2 consistent performers starting to reveal themselves: Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. We'll talk a little bit more about Rashee Rice, I'm sure, but I think those are your 2 kind of staples that you're starting to see establish themselves more in the passing game. And then from there on out, it's going to be grab bag, mix match, depending on the game plan, depending on the play call. I think you're going to kind of just see these guys, you know, mix and match. One will have a big game and one might not.
All right, BJ Kissel, Kent Swanson, we got Tucker Franklin and Christian Martinez here breaking this thing down with us. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Craig Stout and Maddie Lane. They're going to give us their thoughts on the Chiefs' 31-17 win over the LA Chargers here today.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Chiefs win 31-17. Big win. Big, I mean, 6-1 on the season now and undefeated in the AFC West again and just knocking out their biggest competition for the AFC West.
I just love that we've all admitted that the Chiefs, we always talk about Spags defense. You never judge a Spags defense till after Halloween. It's pretty effing scary if this is the other side of things. If this is the other side of things, that's going to be pretty impressive. And then for the Chiefs offense. We talked about the passing game not quite being there all the way yet, and it clicked today.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I mean, and I think this is we'll start with this. Matty Lane, is this first half, is this offense that you saw a reason to kind of just maybe not get as stressed out about what we've seen from the early returns on the offense so far?
I mean, yeah, I think the Chiefs offense there in the first half was clearly kind of clicking on all cylinders. And I think you guys touched on it a little bit at the start, right? Travis Kelce's just kind of out there running whatever he wants, and Patrick Mahomes is finding him. And that stuff matters. I think part of that's because there's some inconsistency and lack of trust with some of the other wide receivers. But I think the big part was like Travis Kelce's kind of doing whatever he wants, doing it really well. And that set up everybody else for a big game. So the way that MVS was playing it out, the way that Rashee Rice was making an impact, it all kind of started with what Travis Kelce was doing, and this Chiefs offense was flowing. Patrick Mahomes looked great on the move, throwing in structure from the pocket. Like, it'd be really hard to poke holes in anything the offense was doing, other than, and we'll probably get to it later, they stopped running gap stuff. That's my only complaint. My only quibble with the offense for the entire game was they went back to all zone runs, but everything else was perfect in the first half.
Craig?
Yeah, offense looked great. It's nice when Patrick Mahomes throws for 400 yards, huh? That's a really nice
Weird
thing to happen. Yeah, especially with 324 of those come in the first half. That's a hell of a half there. It looked like it was going well. And MVS has a big game. We talk about him, having peaks and valleys and disappearing for a little while. It was good to see one of the peaks show up. I thought Sky Moore probably had his best game of the year today. Like, I really did. I thought that he looked pretty good consistently and had one of the bigger plays of the day, making sure to maintain a block on a Patrick Mahomes run for a 3rd and 15. Like, that's a heads-up smart play by a receiver there. Rashee Rice, that touchdown in the back of the end zone, we would be talking about that a hell of a lot more if Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce hadn't gone off in this game. That was a hell of a catch by Rashee Rice there. It was all kind of clicking. Everything looked pretty good. Everything was kind of humming, especially in the first half. It was almost effortless from the Chiefs. They were at about 10.7 yards per play when the Chargers were at 3.3, and it just looked like everything was working. Get into the second half, have a little slip up with a Blake Bell fumble that they rule. It was on the line there. And then they kind of got into the point where the Chargers had their number for a few drives, but a big drive at the end of the game. They did what they needed to do. You scored 31 points against a division opponent. You did your job there. So hat tip to the entire offense. I don't really have a whole lot of qualms with anybody that played on offense today.
Yeah, they set the world on fire in the first half, and the funny thing is they still had an interception mixed in there at one point too. And I know some people were getting really upset about some stuff with McCole Hardman and the maybe the effort trying to break up the pass, and I mean the decision, rough decision. Then his hand gets hit, and then ball's not really challenged up in the air. But man, the bounce back from him too. I mean, welcome back McCole Hardman with the punt return. That was obviously huge, and then. I don't know. I don't know if that was cover zero. Do we think that was zero that they got on that drag route from McCole across the field? It looked like some kind of man coverage.
Go, Manny.
I don't know if it was zero or not, but there was definitely it was definitely blitz. It was definitely man, and he definitely got to run underneath a couple little clear out routes that gave him some space. So like whether it was zero or just they're still playing like man free behind just a 5-man pressure, I don't recall. I know Jerick McKinnon had a really good blitz pickup on it. It was kind of like the vet blitz pickup where he got rocked and completely knocked off balance, and he just gives a little tug to Kendricks, I believe it was, and just pulled him just enough off balance that Mahomes was still able to float the ball over there.
Well, he had another big one against Joey Bosa.
Yes.
Every week, man. Every single week.
That dude is always laying himself out on the line for his teammates. But yeah, no, I thought that was really nice by McCole Hardman, and obviously he kind of was huge in that last drive. Let's talk a little bit about the sputter on the offensive side of the ball, though, because obviously there was a little bit of stretch. I believe they had 4 straight punts, and it was really good. The offense wasn't moving consistently. They get the big punt return, and then they close it out in the red zone, in the end zone on a really nice screen play. Matty, what did you kind of think of the struggles of the offense for that stretch there?
I mean, I thought the Chargers did a great job, right? Brandon Staley's always got these various little adjustments and stuff for the Chiefs. And the adjustment for this game was, hey, Derwin James can't cover Travis Kelce. He just can't do it, so we're going to give him help. And they doubled Travis Kelce. And then I thought the Chiefs were kind of, I don't want to say trying to play close to the vest, but I think Andy was trying not to show a little bit of everything. I think they were trying not to put everything they wanted to out there. So then it became a lot of, can we pick up 4 yards on a first down run or a second and long run? And the Chiefs just weren't able to because they were doing a lot of zone runs. Kelce was getting doubled and it was taken away where Mahomes felt comfortable. There wasn't a lot getting open. And we say all this, right? Like, I just don't think the play calling was as good during that spot. But we say all this. There were 2 plays on third down on those drives that Patrick Mahomes probably just misplaced the ball. Maybe difficult throws, but there was the kind of corner route to Rashee Rice from their own end zone to which Rice maybe should have been more vertical, but he was also really open on the corners. Like, it's hard to split hairs. Just a miscommunication there or a bad ball placement. And then the one to Travis Kelce, right, where Mahomes is kind of on the move and lobbing it downfield. But if he puts that ball out in front or towards the middle of the field a little bit, that's another huge gain. So, yeah, they did punt the ball 4 straight times, but Mahomes misplaced passes, 2 of them away from those not being a thing. And the way he played the rest of the game, those might have been 2 of his 3 worst passes in the game.
Oh, no.
They'll live.
Yeah.
They'll live.
Yeah, I know. And the other drive that Maddie's talking about here was a play with, a first down screen pass to Clyde Edwards-Helaire that, Derwin James was bearing down on him. But how many times have we seen Clyde make guys miss on that very same route there? Derwin was not having a good time closing down angles very well. That kind of got them a little bit behind the sticks. They followed it up with a decent run there, but then just couldn't get anything going on that final play. We can nitpick those 3. It was 3 punt drives there, Kent. And then you talk about the fumble at the very beginning of the half there where they were all the way down in the Chargers 26.
And they were rolling. They were rolling.
They were rolling. They were absolutely rolling in that drive. And then you go touchdown, end of game there. I could look at the second half and say, oh, they didn't get it going. Brandon Staley made some good calls there. Couple of slight misses from Patrick Mahomes and the receivers, but based on the way that they played in the first half, those are the ones that I'm more than likely hey, sweep those under the rug. It's fine. They'll get those back another time. I feel good about the offense after the way that they played in the first half.
I feel very good. I feel very optimistic about this offense. And I mean, I think they haven't lost with Travis Kelce playing this year. By the way, there's that fun little caveat. Weird how that works. Having Kelce and Chris Jones is good. It turns out having blue chip players is a good thing. It's good to see the offense kind of get things rolling a little bit again. And yeah, I came away very optimistic. Rashee Rice continues to ascend. I'm always fascinated by his snap counts. I'm continually curious to see what his opportunities and his usage is going to be, because I do think he's just going to be on an uptick. And this was like a mini bye, and you saw the offense get hot and figure some things out and start to identify some stuff, and they really laid it on the Chargers early in the game. Now the Chargers offense obviously got hot early, but the demise of the Chiefs, as people were talking about on social media, completely overstated, because I mean this defense played outstanding in the second half of this game, and I do think this was a kitchen sink game for the Chargers too, Maddie.
I think a little bit, right? The problem is the Chargers kitchen sink still just kind of becomes throw it up to some of their best players, right? I'm not saying there wasn't some good design stuff in there or anything, but it's still just a lot of throw it up to their best players. And that worked. I mean, Josh Palmer was having a game. He did his best Mike Williams versus the Chiefs, which is dominate a lot of guys at the catch point. And they had that going for them. The Chargers got something figured out there in the first half with the going quick, getting up into tempo. That is something that has routinely bothered Steve Spagnuolo's defenses. There's a lot of communication. There's
always
a lot
the
of
Chargers
calls
too.
and adjustments.
It's always the Chargers too.
I wonder if it's because they get the Chiefs in, base and then go quick, and then the Chiefs have to sort it all out while in base, almost like there's probably a pattern
don't take
there.
my talking points.
my bad. So anyway, yeah, the Chiefs were struggling a little bit in the first half. I think even more so than anything that happened through the air, it was the run defense. It had been really good all year, but it was a little disappointing to see the Chargers getting a good push every single time they tried to run. Every single run, it felt like it was, it was 4 yards. No matter how many guys were in the box, no matter what the run was, it just seemed like 4 yards, 4 yards. And like that is the one thing the Chiefs run defense hadn't been doing all year. To get to that, give that up to the Chargers, especially with Eckler clearly hurt and not playing, was a little disappointing. But I mean, like, again, we're talking about nitpicking. We're talking about nitpicking stuff here at that point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Chargers on the day rushed for 5.3 yards per carry. That's one of the biggest that the Chiefs have allowed this season. I know you can't do this, but you take out Joshua Kelly's 49-yard run, they averaged 3.6 yards per carry. Now, here's the funny part about that. They got those 3.6 yards almost every single play. Like, it wasn't like a 1 yard run and then a 9 yard run. Like it was
Austin Eckler's longest run was 6 yards.
6. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, the variability on their run fits into a very small box. Like that box thing, it's a real small box.
Craig, I'm gonna let you cook in a second, but Tucker D. Franklin wants to jump in.
Yeah, we just hearing from the podium for Andy Reid, Nick Bolton has a dislocated wrist.
Ooh.
Dislocated wrist for Nick Bolton there. I'll have more to come on that injury front.
Tucker's gonna Google.
I think it got stuck in the shoulder pads.
Dislocated.
I think it got stuck in Allen's shoulder pad, and then he fell on it. Is what it looked like happened to me. Like it looked like it went into the chest plate of the shoulder pad, and then he fell on it. And I was like, it looked not great.
I also wondered, like, it looked like Keenan Allen had control of his wrist, or had his wrist, was trying to like control that arm a little bit too, because like it seemed like he held it down, or he's holding it on the way down to the ground too. So like maybe something weird happened there. Anyways, Craig, please continue to cook. My apologies.
Oh, it makes me sad
for Nick Tucker Bolton trying to make our show better. I don't know. He was having a good game. He really was. It was a good Nick Bolton game. Really good one there. Luckily, the Chiefs have Drew Tranquill again. He's going to become, along with Mike Dana, the new Charger killer here. Chiefs allow a field goal and a punt in the first quarter there. We don't want to talk about the second quarter. And then they get into the second half there, and it's interception, punt, interception. That's an outstanding job by the Chiefs defense. And at one point from the very start of the fourth quarter till 3 minutes and 19 seconds left to go in the quarter, the Chiefs had a 100% defensive success rate. That means they were ahead of the sticks, did not allow the Chargers to get ahead of the sticks on any play during that time period. That was outstanding at a time when they absolutely needed it. The Chiefs had a short field, didn't allow anything, forced a punt. Chiefs backed up after a turnover, didn't allow anything, force a punt. You get into the red zone. That was really the only real drive that the Chargers had of any sort of volume until the end of the game when the Chiefs are in prevent. Chiefs, Charles Omenihu forces, pops the ball up into the air, forces an interception. This game needed this defense to step up once again, and we are now 7 weeks into the season, and it just keeps happening. Like, this is legit. This is real. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They step up. The Chargers offense specifically was trying to get into tempo looks, especially if they had a successful play on first down. They wanted to get up to the line and get going again on second down so the Chiefs couldn't substitute. The most diabolical thing that Kellen Moore did, if they had a decent second down play that got them into like a third and long, they'd sprint to the line and not allow the Chiefs to get in dime. And that's where Steve Spagnuolo is at his best. So Spags just started countering, getting into the dime in second down. That's what happened in the second half. That was part of the turnaround there. So major adjustments by Spags. They got into the bag a little bit more. It worked out. But the Chargers had their number in the second quarter, and it was mostly because of that tempo look that the Chargers kept hitting on them. Well, and I think I don't want to pick on one player specifically, but Justin Reed had a really rough singular possession where he gave up 2 completions and then fit a run poorly that led to the Josh Kelly run. So like there was like one kind of isolated drive, I think, where he kind of really struggled. He had his moments, and they were able. He absolutely did. Don't get me wrong. But I think that was like you can kind of isolate it to like if he has a better drive. Who knows what this game looks like? Like that was a rough little stretch for him there. With the completion of Parham, I think he had a completion on an out route, or something outside, and then fit in that run a little weird. Drew Tranquill might have been held on that too. I know. BJ, you want to jump in?
Yeah, just going back to the Nick Bolton thing before we get too far away from it. Texted a friend who would know, and not all dislocated wrists are the same. But I just asked, is it season ending? And he said, not necessarily. There's a lot that depends on that. And I just joked that it's never simple. He said, no, if he's going to play at all, he will be in a hard cast for the rest of the season.
Gotcha.
Oh, so if he
plays, he will be in a hard cast.
If he plays,
yeah.
Well, we'll see. Everybody recovers different. We'll get into that later. Yeah.
Well, we might want to talk a little bit about that real quick.
Well, I mean, like you guys said, though, I mean, like we just talked about, Drew Tranquill came right in, and the Chiefs' defense didn't miss a beat, right? And like, I'm never going to say that losing a player like Nick Bolton, who's the captain, he's calling all the plays, doesn't matter.
Look at the reaction of all the players too. When Nick Bolton goes out, if you see the reaction of all of his teammates and how concerned and how disappointed and sad they are for him, not knowing the severity of the injury, but just knowing that he's getting a ton of attention. Like you see, that's the tangible impact or the intangible impact that he definitely has in that room, and that's I know what you're saying. I know you're about to finish that point, Maddie, but that's just you can see that's a very intangible value that he presents to that team. So, anyways, continue.
No. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from what he did. It's just we've seen the Chiefs now have to operate without him, right? Like this isn't the first time this year they're going to do it. We've seen them have to game plan with Drew Tranquill being the guy to play Mike, and it's been great. It's been fine. It's been great. It's been really good. We just saw Drew Tranquill have to come into the game in the middle of it. The very first play he's in there, he's aligning Nadi in the right run gap, and the run goes right through. Now, I mean, the Chiefs didn't stuff it, but like you watch him walk up to the line and immediately tell Nadi where to realign to get in the correct gap. That's right where the run goes. Like, I don't think the Chiefs are missing as much as they would have in years past when Drew Tranquill comes in. I think there's maybe even parts of this defense when Drew Tranquill's forced to be out there that maybe gets a little better. I'm not going to get into better overall, not better overall, but there's little things that Drew Tranquill does really, really well. And having him on the field running with the tight end on a vertical up the seam is probably a good place to have him, right? So the Chiefs are in a good situation to handle something like this. I would rather the Chiefs make sure that Nick Bolton is comfortable to play, feels good. I mean, you can play in a hard cast, but linebacker, you're trying to catch passes. You're trying to hold on to people's tackling. You have to engage with blockers. A hard cast is probably a little bit difficult. Not impossible, but a little difficult to play with in that role. So
Tucker D. Franklin wants to jump back in.
Yes, sir. I got a few notes to make.
Let's go.
First, I found this quote from Chargers Brandon Staley interesting. He said, "We need to reset as a football team." Obviously, as you guys touched on earlier on the show.
I think the fans probably feel that too.
You mean realign?
Brandon?
Yeah.
Like a different conference or division?
Yeah, they need to do something there. But a couple of Travis Kelce nuggets. Andy Reid at his press conference said that Travis Kelce gets better with time. Taylor Swift can stay around if all she wants, is what he said. So we'll get that there. And then I saw this one from Next Gen Stats come across my timeline here. Travis Kelce caught all 8 of his open targets for 104 yards against the Chargers. Example of 3+ yards of separation. Kelce entered the game hauling in every one of his 26 open receptions. His 34 receptions on open targets currently leads the NFL. So when he's open, he's catching the football.
I also just think it's funny how mad he was about the target he didn't catch.
On the back shoulder.
He was so disappointed. That was a
it,
difficult
28?
catch.
It was a key third down with 8 minutes to go. Like, that was a big moment.
I know, but
catch, but
it's just funny that he was near perfect, or he was perfect up to that point, and then he's very disappointed that he doesn't make a difficult catch. I think that's funny. I do want to go back to that Nick Bolton, because obviously that's probably one of the biggest stories coming out of this game. It is great. You know, I don't know if it's not foresight, but the fact that Andy Reid was so aggressive in recruiting Drew Tranquill and pulling the Juju Smith-Schuster playbook and sending him pictures of the Lombardi and doing some of that kind of stuff to try to recruit Drew Tranquill. How valuable is it to have a guy like him, who they kind of signed late in free agency for such a cheap contract, being able to have that kind of depth? That it's going to be more valuable, I think, if Nick Bolton is to miss some time. Man, the fact that this team has linebacker depth, just the depth of this defense kind of revealing itself too. Like, part of the reason that we're seeing this team have so much success is the experience and just the able bodies that they're able to introduce, when things like this happen. So we all hope that Nick Bolton's not, missing much time. But the good news is I think we saw that, they can withstand that to some level because they have more depth than they've had in the past.
Yeah, I'll go
Absolutely.
back. I've said it when they signed him that those are the types of moves that win Super Bowls, and not to make a big statement out of any contract that's given for 1 year, $4 million. I think Mike Edwards is around the same amount of money, but it takes every single player on your roster stepping up, making plays at different points in the season. And for Drew Tranquill, and with the roster composition, there's only so much money they can give out. Getting players right on $4 million deals are the differences that make those margin of errors all throughout a season, that everybody's got to step up and make plays. And those are the types of moves. We've seen it throughout the years, on all the Super Bowl years. It's always these guys who step up and make plays. And to get a talent like that, unbelievable that he was available for that amount of money. He probably should be getting paid more this offseason, if we're being honest. But those are the types of moves that ultimately help you end up winning Super Bowl. Obviously, you need your Patrick Mahomes, your Travis Kelce's, but you need your Drew Tranquills, you need your Mike Edwards, you need those type of guys. Mike Dana's is another one of those guys as a draft pick that still, you need those guys, those, I don't say role players, because role players, all of a sudden, when their name and their number is called, they have to step up and make plays if you're going to win something special, and that's what we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's a next man up mentality for sure, and it's valuable to have what they have. The best version of this team is going to have Nick Bolton on the field, though, and I think the best version of this team, obviously, getting 4 capable linebackers to mix and match personnel-wise, based on games, based on scheme, based on game plan. That might go away a little bit now. So you're going to have guys getting tested, and hey, more reps means higher chance of some more injuries to the position. So it kind of sucks that we're seeing this happen now, but hopefully the Chiefs can kind of withstand that a little bit. Let's move back to the offense a little bit. I know I cut that Travis Kelce conversation short, but it's kind of funny that he's hurt week 1, last second, right before the game starts, and this kind of offense kind of looks in disarray. But since then, the last 4 weeks specifically, he looks healthy, even though he injured himself again in the middle of all that. I mean, my goodness, Maddie, he's been on fire.
No, he really has. And it's crazy because there's still times that I see it to where he looks like his age a little bit. He looks like he's an older tight end that is dealing with some injuries, like that long run where he didn't even attempt to make the DB miss or to make the move decided just to get tackled, or some of his drop steps to turn around on his catches. He's been the best player in the NFL I've ever seen at just the drop step and turn up field. Some of those were just a little bit slower. Now, a couple times this game, it seemed like he bobbled the ball doing it. But I think you do see a little bit of the age and the injuries catching up to him. But goodness, it doesn't matter when he's hitting that little shoulder shimmy in the middle of a route and coming out of the break, just how smooth he can still be in and out of his breaks, that age, the influence he puts on DBs with his head, his shoulders, everything working in unison. He's the best. Him and Devontae Adams are the best 2 route runners in the NFL, and I don't even know if it's particularly close. And Travis Kelce's doing this on a bad ankle and a bad knee and everything right now. We're getting to the point where we might have to start having a conversation, nationally, just about how he simply is just the best, down in, down out route runner in the game, and maybe one of the best of all time, because what he's doing when he clearly has lost some athleticism is insane.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And to Kent's point that he was talking about earlier, the fact that he and Mahomes are reading the defenses the exact same way to open some of this stuff up, to play off of the other routes that he knows are there, that is insane football IQ. It really is tremendous to watch him out there manipulating some of these guys. Derwin James had a bad time today, quite simply. Yes, he was coming into this game a little banged up. But
are they are Chargers fans gonna make a mural of this game, of him in this game, or
no?
Okay.
Not like when
Just
when Travis Kelce got
curious.
spiked on his way towards the end zone in a game that they
just curious.
lost. Anyway, but it was one of those that he was coming into this game a little banged up and was forced into action covering one of the best players in the National Football League right now, and it did not go well for this defense. As a matter of fact, they tried to just leave him with Derwin James for most of the first half. That was the big adjustment that Brandon Staley did. It's hey, listen, we're just going to give so much more attention to everybody else, or to Travis Kelce, and let everybody else beat us. If that happens, then that happens. And it kind of did towards the end of the game there. But Travis just continues to amaze us each and every week. They're just putting up numbers after numbers after numbers. I mean, he's on track for 1,000 yards again after missing week 1 and having a little bit of a slow start. It's just insane to watch what he's doing on the field at his age right now.
It's kind of crazy to think that Derwin James was a game-time decision and they tried to put so much on his plate too. So maybe part of the reason Derwin James was having such a bad time was he was trying to gut it out. Tucker D. Franklin, what do you got for us?
Yeah, there's obviously so much more to talk about with Travis Kelce, too. Here's a fun little did you know that today's game against the Chargers was Travis Kelce's 99th consecutive game, including the playoffs with 3+ receptions. That is the longest such streak of any player in NFL history. It is also 64 games longer than the next longest streak by a tight end in NFL history. That's via Chiefs Communications in 64 games. That's insane. And this is also Patrick Mahomes on Travis Kelce on being able to read coverages and being on the same page as him. He said, quote, "It's almost like he's playing Madden."
I'm sure the Chargers love to hear that.
The Chargers should try winning.
I mean,
Chargers should try getting some of that defensive personnel that they're spending so much money on to execute.
Yeah, I'm still going to shout out the Chiefs' offensive line. I know we're talking about all of the other skill guys, and it's easy
Taking
to
my
talk about.
toast game. I see how it is.
We're going to get to toast game here in a second. But Chargers came into his last 4 games. It averaged about 8 quarterback hits per game. It had 4 quarterback hits on Patrick Mahomes, just 1 sack. Chiefs end up with 5 sacks on defense, all from 5 different guys.
Yeah.
Impressive.
I think both lines for the Chiefs played fantastically. Getting 5 sacks, getting home 5 times against Justin Herbert. I know Drew Tranquill got the last one kind of in more or less garbage time, but this team was getting home and making some big impactful plays and negative plays.
Garbage time.
Huh?
Don't steal that thunder from him. Don't call it garbage time.
Is it
Ice in the game. It's poetic.
yeah, I don't think that's
poetry.
garbage time.
I'm just joking with you, man.
I'm just saying.
Hey, I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to insert myself into this program.
Oh, let's go.
I love it.
Travis Clement Smith says, I think there ought to be a National Travis Day. And I think that's basically just National Tight Ends Day at this point, right? Like, it's just National Travis Kelce Day.
I think
Travis
National.
is suggesting to have a National Travis Day, Tuck.
Listen,
Oh.
it's okay. It's okay. Listen, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in Tony Romo for not getting us enough National Tight End Day talk.
Yes.
Greg Olsen got a lot of talk in there about National Tight End Day. I think it's a disservice that Greg Olsen did not get to call a Travis Kelce game on National Tight End Game. I think that's the real issue that I have with this entire weekend.
Do we think
Tony
Romo
really
knew?
wanted both of those, the fumble by Blake Bell and the fumble by Isaiah Pacheco, to really go against the Kansas City Chiefs this week. I'm usually not a Tony Romo hater by any means, but both of those were a little bit like, hey, let's be a little bit more down the middle here.
All right, everybody. It's your favorite time in the KCSN Live postgame show. It's time for the Ben Holiday Bourbon Toast Game. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, it is time to grab your drink, to raise your glass, and tell us who is your MVP of the game. This is our Toast Game segment presented by our friends at Holiday Distillery and their Ben Holiday Bottle and Bonded Bourbon. Kent and I are sitting here with a couple old fashions at the Kingdom Bar and Grill. We appreciate Ben and Stephanie and all the managers and staff here for taking care of us throughout the game. Kent, we'll start with you since you made a comment earlier. Nobody wants to steal the offensive line thunder from you.
I
just did. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. God forbid you try to put on a good show.
Move to your second read.
I am beyond excited for what this offensive line. I was hyped up about what this offensive line. Mahomes was sitting back there, chilling for most of the game. I mean, they did an outstanding job in pass protection. I mean, we can talk about the run game, yada yada yada. Didn't matter. Mahomes was lighting up the scoreboard. Pass pro, I think, was great. I want to give a special shout out as well. Wanye Morris got in. He got in for a snap too, and had one pass pro snap. Did a good job, and just jumping in the middle. Hey, that's sometimes the hardest job to have, is just jumping into the middle of it. So Wanye Morris getting a snap, and the entire offensive line. My toast game.
All right, I like that. I'm going to take one of the two new guys that was making his debut. I'm going to go with Charles Omenihu.
Ooh.
I'm going to raise my glaze to Charles. First half, Chargers offense is moving. They're doing a lot of things, finding a lot of success. And the one big negative play that kind of thwarted one of their drives at the end of that first half with about, I think, just under 4 minutes left to go, had the sack, forced the 3rd and 18, which they couldn't overcome, ended up punting, ended up being one of the huge plays. And then his deflection inside of the red zone that led to the interception. Missing the first 6 games, no, it wasn't going to be easy. Talked about how good this Chiefs defense has already been without him. To add him to the mix before Halloween and for him to get a debut like that at Arrowhead Stadium, I'm raising my glass to Charles Omenihu because we saw it with the deflection. Yeah. The reason that he got that deflection is because he was one-on-one, because you could see the right guard peel off to go help with Chris Jones, which left him time to jump around, get his hands up, deflect that pass. So I'm raising my glass to Charles Omenihu.
Yeah, it's clinky. There you go.
All right, Maddie, what you got?
Me. Okay. Let's stick with the defensive side of the ball. We got to talk some more defensive guys here. Let's go with Mike Edwards. I thought Mike Edwards played a pretty good game. Yeah, there was a play early in there that probably played a little bit of a role in the Chargers scoring, but then after that point, like, I thought he was excellent. He could have had himself 2 different interceptions. That pass breakup on Keenan Allen there in the second half, where he was running in Tampa 2, he's running to the goalpost, and he's still got eyes on Keenan Allen. Notices the pad level change. That's a trigger that Keenan Allen's got to sit down and run a little hitch route. How quickly he plants his foot in the ground, drives underneath that, and makes that play. I think Mike Edwards just continues to play better and better. This might be the second time I've toast game Mike Edwards. I think he's just in that perfect role where he's maybe not out there enough that he doesn't get quite the appreciation he does, but he should. But he makes so many big plays, and just that pass breakup in particular, and Justin Reed's too. I don't think Craig was going to pick him, but Justin Reed's pass breakup on that cover 2 play were phenomenal.
Whew. Yeah, toast.
Better and better as the season's getting on for Mike Edwards too.
Absolutely. You know who else is getting better and better as the season is going along? Drew Tranquil beating up on his former team. Drew Tranquil has a sack near the end of the game there, and that was not his most impressive play of the day. That running up the seam and stripping the ball from the tight end on a big play there, that was massive. Steve Spagnuolo has weaponized this defense in so many different ways. Mike Dana, still a Charger killer, by the way. Guess what? Charles Omenihu comes in, hits the ground running. This secondary continues to look terrific. This was the first time that I think we saw some little bit, shaky moments from the defense where we went, oh no, what's happening here at the defense? Drew Tranquil ends up playing a lot more in the second half there. He comes in at the mic at the end of the game. They help shut the door on that. I want to give an honorable mention here to Willie Gay Jr. as well, who was also phenomenal. Just, oh my goodness. The linebackers were terrific. Great job by Drew Tranquil, though, playing against his old team.
Do you know who needs a drink after that game? Is Chargers safety Dean Marlowe, who got trucked by Rashee Rice.
Oh yeah, that was
as well.
That would
have been on a lot of ESPN segments. You guys talked about him a little bit, but McCole also needs a toast game.
Oh
right?
yes,
McCole coming back with that punt return 100%. And then that catch. I mean, we mentioned it a little bit, so that's why I didn't go with him. But he definitely needs a toast game when that first game back. That was huge.
And guess what? I know that interception happened to McCole there on the deep pass there. Defenses are going to key off of that. They haven't thrown of those, especially to the sideline. Force defenses into more too high structure by making more of those throws. So yes, was an interception fully on Mahomes or not being able to step into the throw there, not on McCole at all on that one. That's what you want to see, though. Defensive coordinators are going to have their ears perked because they did that just the once. That's all it takes to scare the crap out of defensive coordinators.
Also, justice for Blake Bell. That wasn't a catch.
Let's just keep toasting the entire roster so I can down this delicious old fashions. We can just keep toasting people all we want. I know Tuck's got
toast Tommy Townsend for punting while hurt.
He did punt while hurt. He also doesn't wear any pads, and I think that's the funniest thing ever when you see him walk out there and no leg pads on. I'm going to give a toast. I usually give it to good health in this segment, but I'm going to give a toast to Nick Bolton, hopefully for a quick and swift recovery to get him back out there on the field. Got to raise my glass to a fellow Mizzou guy.
For good health.
I don't know if I'm going to make this a toast in some way, but I'm also going to raise my glass to the haters because with all of the crap that has been talked about with the refs giving the Chiefs all of it, just point him to this game. Just point him to this game, and that's all you need to do. Because
Mike Dana and Chris Jones both should have had multiple sacks in this game.
Yeah.
My draft teams would have liked that. if
Yeah.
Chris Jones would have had double sacks.
Did Chris Jones get a
Oh no!
sack
Did
today?
this
No.
wreck
He had a half.
Chris
The
streak
Jones
is dead.
streak?
The streak is dead. Long live the streak.
And he played good. Like
I had
I thought he
pour one
played
out for
pretty
him, but I
well
wanted to
too.
see it.
Just they gave him tons of attention.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more toast because we're going to keep drinking. We got Christian Martinez,
Uh-oh.
one of our other fearless producers here on the KCSN Live postgame show. What do you got for us, Christian?
What's up, y'all? So I'm going to toast to the AFC West because the Chiefs have beaten them 13 straight times. 13. And you know what's funny? We might, maybe this season, beat the streak for the longest in NFL history to beat a rival. Because right now it's at 16 straight wins. We'll play the Broncos next week. If we get some wins against the Raiders, we might own the longest streak of defeating a rival.
Wow.
Here's a stat that we should look up. Just popped in my head. What's the most consecutive division titles won by a team?
That's the
Probably
Patriots,
the Patriots.
probably.
Yeah.
One of
It is the
a
Patriots.
dozen.
It's probably like the first
But-
mile marker that.
Hey guys, I
Mahomes
think it's the
knocks down.
Patriots.
Thanks, Maddie.
What's the most consecutive division
Gotcha.
titles won when you're not picked to win the division?
Listen, hey,
Let's
the
mix
Chargers
it up
got it
here.
on lock every August. Every
So,
August.
The
Chargers,
record right now is
their division.
11 by New England.
11. Yeah.
Adam Rank's streak on AFC West winners is probably like it's been 0 for 5 years.
All right, let's wrap this one up. We'll get final thoughts from everybody. We appreciate all you for hanging out. Please hit that like and subscribe. Make sure to check out all of our content throughout the week. Plenty of shows, plenty of breakdowns. My personal favorite, two of my favorite shows during the week on our YouTube channel. You get defensive breakdowns where Craig Stout is joined by Mike DeVito, Derek Johnson each week. On the offensive side, Chase Daniel, Matt Hamilton breaking down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense. It is phenomenal stuff from guys that are explaining it in ways that everybody can understand it. They do a good job to give you more things to look for when you're watching live. But final thoughts, Kent, we'll start with you.
I mean, the 14-point win, man. Like that's no joke, and I think they earned it. You know, that defense really stepped up in the second half and kind of knocked them out. And I think the offense, as good as explosive as they were early, they earned a double-digit win against the Los Angeles Chargers. So I like to see the tears from Chargers fan out in Los Angeles. Wait, Chargers fan was at the game.
She was there. Chargers
She
fan
was there.
at the game.
Oh,
We
she hit
confirmed
you with
it.
a honka on TV too.
What?
You know, she did the
Did you
spag.
see that?
I did not see
She
that.
did
She has
the
a deal with
Spags.
Buffalo
She
Wild
did do
Wings,
the
too.
Spags.
Already?
She did the
Yeah, she
spag.
does.
That was quick.
Too quick. Some are saying.
Put on the tinfoil hats. Here we go.
Anyway,
All right, Maddie,
pause.
what do you got? Final thoughts?
I'm going to take this time to talk about Dave Tobe getting on McCole Hardman for letting the first long punt go. People said, oh, no, you got to let that go and get a touchback because you're catching it at the 5. Well, yeah, the coverage was nowhere near you. You field that and you run it back. At worst, you're getting to the 15. You take that risk. That's what Tobe wanted. McCole said Tobe got on him for letting that one go. Aaron Ladd posted the video on Twitter talking to McCole there on the field. McCole said Dave Tobe told him, hey, you kind of got to field those. Guess what he did? He fields the next one, 50-yard return, sets the Chiefs up to put the game away. So shout out Dave Tobe, who we give a little bit of gruff to on this podcast and jest. Good job by him.
My final point is Steve Spagnuolo being just so good. 15 points a game through 7 games. That's outrageously terrific. And it's not like some of those other years that I think we remember back. Like I was the key proponent of Bob Sativity, with Bob Sutton there and everything like that. They were playing against
Feels
some
like forever ago.
bad offenses in those.
Dug up
The Kansas
that one.
City Chiefs have played the number 4, the number 5, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 22nd ranked offenses.
Wow.
22nd is the lowest ranked offense that they have played so far this season, and they are allowing 15 points a game. The Cleveland Browns could never. Steve Spagnuolo forever.
Fuck.
You gave the people what they wanted, BJ.
It's always the Chargers too. It's always the Chargers game. I get fired up for these games, but it's just funny. I know we have these games, and you guys think so analytically, and you get into all the stuff, and I think big picture. And I just think if you're a Chargers fan, you're a fan of the AFC West, and you sit back and watch what the Chiefs are doing, you already know that Patrick Mahomes is ridiculous. We talked about it. They can have everything covered perfectly, and it's always fucking scrambles that I just look. I'm like, what do you do as a defensive coordinator where it's 3rd and 15? You have 7 DBs lined up at the first down marker. I look at Tucker. I was like, he's going to run for 19 yards in a first down right here. I have no idea how to do it. Shout out Sky Moore on that play, making a hell of a block out on the edge. But I just don't know if you're a fan of the AFC West, if you can sit and watch the Chiefs play and watch Patrick Mahomes and now see that the defense is legitimately dominant and getting love from national media that have no reason to love on the Chiefs, saying this is one of the top 5, if not one of the most complete defenses in the NFL. And I know, obviously, Nick Bolton thing, hopefully it's not as serious or it's not the better end of whatever that could be, but just imagine if you're a fan of an AFC team looking at what the Chiefs have done with Patrick Mahomes and now the way that the defense is developing, that all you can do is just sit back and say, fuck.
Hey, one quick, can you pull the comments back up and throw Devin Albertson's up real quick, Tuck? I think one thing, Buffalo losing to Mac Jones today, I think one thing I'm really appreciating about this team slogging through some offensive struggles to only be top 8 in the NFL. I think this is a year where I'm appreciating how hard it is to do what the Chiefs are doing because the Bengals suck, the Bills suck, and the Chiefs are 6-1. The Frogles, I'm sorry. The Frogles suck. Chris Collinsworth. Anyways, no, I think it's worth appreciating. Like, I think this is a year to kind of realize how hard it is because some of these other teams might have plateaued. Some of these other teams are really struggling to sustain success like the Chiefs are. And now we're seeing new contenders. There's a whole new cycle of teams kind of starting to ascend a little bit while some of the teams that have given the Chiefs fits the last few years are starting to struggle. I think that's just like, it's worth appreciating what you got right now.
Yeah, it only
absolutely.
took Travis Kelce and Chris Jones not playing and Kadarius Toney to have the worst game of his life for the Chiefs not to be undefeated right now.
And they're still the 1 seed in the AFC.
Tough.
Hey, fly Eagles fly tonight.
I was gonna say they could have a 2-game lead after tonight.
That's true. Yep. Fine, I'll root for the Eagles. We'll beat them in the Super Bowl.
This is painful for Kent and his thoughts on Jalen Hurts. So
yes,
this is
true. Look, just think about Jason Kelce and how much you love him, Kent, and you'll be able to support the Eagles.
We already feel like we know a lot about this Chiefs team. Obviously, next week they need to go take care of business. You talk about like trap games. Like next week is the definition of a trap game going on the road, taking on Denver. But then you come back and you've got Miami Dolphins and you've got the Philadelphia Eagles. Those are the 2 biggest games of the year left for the Chiefs. They can get through the next 3 weeks, even 2-1, if not going 3-0. They go 3-0 after this, like, haters are even more pissed.
They really will have clinched the AFC West.
They go 3-0. You listen to the postgame show. I'll figure out a way to say all the F-bombs you want, Corey.
Is somebody asking for it?
Apparently they like when I cuss.
Corey.
A lot of
a big
people.
fan.
Not somebody.
By they, you mean one.
No, there's more.
You have no room to talk with this,
there's
kid.
a lot of people.
The king of a lot of people are saying, I'm like, it's one YouTube comment.
Uh-huh. Craig is great,
it's usually
though.
just Kent himself.
I like how Postgame took 20 minutes. This is an OG. This is an OG postgame show. I missed this.
I just love because this is like the original
talk.
You know how far we've come?
I know, man.
Talk about this Tucker all the time. If you're just tuning in and you're new to KCSN and all this stuff, go back and watch some of our shows from like 2 years ago.
Don't do
Come
that.
along.
Don't do that.
Definitely do that.
The producer doesn't want you to do that.
PJ, why?
I will cringe.
Because I still have that damn iPad rolling thing in my garage that we tried to use once.
Please don't.
Oh, yes.
Shout out Jackie Moon.
I think everyone should do that.
Let BJ cook.
Next week during this segment, please go back, do some homework, and tell us your favorite episode of yesteryear. Next week live, tell us your favorite moments.
Mine was
2
the
years ago.
preseason postgame show we did for my buddy Tommy's baseball academy down in Wichita.
That was amazing.
That is up there.
We stayed in Wichita the whole day to do that too.
There's a lot of background to that story that we'll do a podcast on that trip down there once, Kent.
Oh.
We have verbal history.
An oral history?
Verbal.
It's oral.
There's so much about this that people
Someday.
don't know.
Someday.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I like the OG episodes.
Well,
Thanks, man.
They're fun now to look back on.
Maddie, I don't know what you just said.
We've almost stretched this out to 60 minutes. We're doing a great job. We got to make it 60 more seconds, and we can just call it, right?
Why are we trying?
Look at Kent, the timekeeper, trying to shut the man down. Listen, when I was sitting here talking about defense, this man had to come in here, switch it off of the offense because they had their first good performance of the year. And look at him just going off.
It was
taking the focus off of a terrific second half performance by the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Kent, I have a major bone to pick with you on this. I just can't believe that you would take away from so many consecutive plays. Like, listen, man, this was one. The Chiefs had 3 consecutive PBUs. There was Willie Gay Jr., it was Drew Tranquil, and it was Justin Reed. 3 consecutive plays. They did a terrific job stopping it. Mike Edwards was like 3 plays before that. That was the reason why they were able to close out the game. And those were the things that I was going to say before you decided to go ahead and try and filibuster me, take the focus off of me and go to the offense. I just can't believe that you would do something like that to me, and we are at an hour and I'm done.
I can't believe people like me cussing this much. It's blowing my mind.
It's Rant Stout. It's Rant Stout.
Everybody's just gonna change
funny.
roles at some point.
It was hilarious. We were talking defense, and Kent came in and said, "Hey, we got to talk Nick Bolton," and then said, "Okay, that's enough defense onto the offense again."
I'm just saving points for the lab. We're holding some stuff back. Like it's like the Chiefs have Denver in like twice in a matter of 20 days. I'm just holding some stuff back like the Chiefs did. So that's all.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. BJ Cussin in support of Frank Clark is my new favorite, or your old favorite. I remember that show.
Dude.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that show like it was yesterday.
Well,
people try to tell me what I didn't see with my own eyes or experience with, being there for part of it. I'm not saying that they're there for a lot of it, and that people get that twisted. Just because I worked there doesn't mean I knew everything or whatever, but there were certain things that I felt very comfortable with. You tell me what isn't or isn't real that I saw? No. There's a reason. He's a dude. He was the dude.
Don't tempt me.
Are you ready to break? Is he back?
No, I haven't officially signed him yet, have they?
No.
It's gonna be like you're not gonna find a bigger Frank Clark supporter in the world than I am, but you don't want to bring him in. You don't want to stunt Felix Andy-Duque's growth. You still want to get him snaps. You still want to develop him. George Karlaftis is coming on. You got a Menahu who could move in and out. It's a matter of snaps and where they go. Why Tucker's ready to go home, aren't you?
No, he probably is.
Well, yes, but it's okay.
All right, guys, you got another topic? Let's just keep this thing going.
No, we're good.
Hey, Maddie, you want to talk draft?
Now just out of spite, we're going to keep this show going for another 40 minutes just to piss Tucker off.
I am geared up for this one.
No.
We can definitely. Tucker's down to talk draft now.
Yep.
I was going to say, Tucker's not going to be the problem.
At what point do you clip this for the pod, like the audio?
Listen, all this is still in the podcast audio. I don't know what you're talking about.
People are going to be so confused when they listen back and they thought we stopped like 22 minutes ago. And then
You're
all
just
of a
gonna
sudden
cut.
this podcast is going to go on.
What you're going to do is you're going to go to when we actually close it. You're going to clip it there, and you're just going to find some spot from 15 minutes earlier. So just out of spite, if you have any questions, it's an open Q&A right now. We'll answer 3 questions from the comment section. You ask us anything you want to know. We are going to answer them.
You guys think I'm going to clip it? I'm
I
not going
don't
to clip
know.
anything.
We have so much content on a Monday. We got all kinds of stuff. Haley, shout out to
BJ,
Haley.
my friend.
Hold on, real quick.
My friend, Kent is the one that's the most upset about the fact that we are running past an hour right
He's
now.
right.
Oh, shit. I'll keep this thing going for an hour and a half then. It's 40 minutes because keep Tucker from... Listen, I've been... personal stuff. Kent's been on his own with the fam for a while. I'm in the midst of being on my own with the fam for 3 days.
We've been Reba. We've been single dads who work 2 jobs who love their kids and never stop.
Listen,
the last 3 days.
We had a soccer game, a gymnastics, a birthday party, and a football game all before noon yesterday, and I was on my own. I was screaming, I want Bama at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It made no sense, but I got all that shit done. So let's answer any questions from the comment. Who do you want to trade for before the deadline?
Honestly, I don't know if there's really any big trades. Yeah. I thought before I learned that Juju Smith-Schuster's contract's guaranteed next year at $7 million that it made sense to trade for him, but it's guaranteed money next year, so I don't think I would do that. But I just bring the band back together and add Rashee Rice and thrive. But no, I don't think we can do that anymore.
If there's a low end like D tackle, something that you don't need to know the scheme, you don't need to know any of that. There's another dude that you can get in there to take some snaps from some people that might not be performing at the level that the rest of the guys on the defensive line are. Maybe you take some snaps away from that dude.
Yeah.
But anybody on the offensive side, there's no way you can bring them in unless they already know the offense to where it'd be comfortable making plays. So,
yeah.
For me, I'm still a fan of trading for. I mean, if the opportunity presented itself and it made sense, I'm not going to say no to trading for somebody like Jerry Jeudy. I know the Broncos would likely never trade within the division, right? But at this point, I feel confident saying the Chiefs can very much win the Super Bowl without making a wide receiver addition. But you make one, that just kind of feels like the Eagles just continuing to add defensive linemen that are going to get 18 sacks. Right. Like it seems like there's no real risk to it to add another guy that when they're double teaming Travis Kelce is going to get a little bit more separation than they're getting right now, but it still has to make sense. Like you can't overpay. You're beyond the window where you would overpay for it.
Especially since you just added McCole Hardman. And I know that he's not like a giant needle mover or anything like that from a production standpoint. But let it roll. Like I'm fine with letting it roll. It remains to be seen. Now, cut to next week when I'm pounding the table for them to trade for a wide receiver after Denver limits this team under 20 points again.
Hey, Craig, just let it rise.
That was a bad one.
End it. No, we're done.
Most of them, at least they're somewhat like creative or good. That was bad. We will end on this note. And I want to give a special shout out. I don't know if we've done this on the. You guys have normally done this. Oh, first of all, shout out Haley Lewis, who was able to go to the game and enjoy it as a fan, and she got the night off from the post-game show. That's why Haley wasn't on the show. But also want to shout out Tyler Brown, who helps us out writing for the website, writing for the newsletter, but also helps us out with the KCSN Foundation and the My First Game campaign that we do in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Kansas City, where we provide 4 tickets to every home Chiefs game to the Boys and Girls Club to provide those tickets to kids that are in that program and their families that have never been to Arrowhead, who might not have the means or resources to get out there. Tyler is one of our guys. Like I said, he works with us. He's the one who meets the families. He takes them to the team store. We buy them a hoodie, a sweatshirt. We buy them something tangible that they can take home to remember that experience. It's one of the best things that we do at KCSN. We don't always do the best job of talking about the things that we do to give back because we're too busy fucking doing the things to give back and trying to do good things. But special shout out to Tyler Brown as he already going to the games, as he's meeting these families and he's taking to the team store and spending that time. We've got a lot of phenomenally great, genuine people that are working with us at KCSN to kind of activate and do some of these things that we do at the foundation. My First Game is probably my favorite thing that we do throughout the year, and that's content, shows, all of this stuff. None of it matters if you're not making an impact in a really impactful way. And I know in talking with Jason and all the folks at the Boys and Girls Club that it is one of their favorite things. It's very simple. We do it in conjunction with Tickets for Less. It wouldn't be possible without our partners at Tickets for Less. It's just a beautiful thing. And I wanted to shout out Tyler Brown because he's out there doing the work and might not get the credit or all that, but he's making an impact in our community, and we absolutely love that.
Thank
so
you,
we're going to end
Tyler.
on that note before Kent ruins it with some bad pun. We're going to end it right there. We appreciate all you for hanging out. Hit that like and subscribe. These guys
cut
at
his
KC
mic.
Lab,
Cut
these
it.
guys with the Tucker
Shout out
mic.
Snake VP. He likes my joke.
These guys will be going live tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Only Weird Games will be going live at 4:30. Haley Lewis and I will be recording 10 things tomorrow morning. We'll get that up in the midday. Shout out Tucker Franklin, Christian Martinez, Joel Prestel for running our social media. Shout out everybody at the Kingdom Bar and Grill for taking care of us tonight. We appreciate all of you and support of what we've got building here at KCSN. Love y'all. We'll see you next time.